600,000 children go to public elementary schools in New York City. These children vary in their intellectual abilities. New York City has its share of boys and girls who show great intellectual promise. Vivian Velasquez's winning essay was selected from among 70,000 entries in the annual United Nations Essay Contest. The Bronx High School of Science has had 100 winners since 1958 in this annual social studies contest, more than any high school in the country. Although New York City has less than 2% of the nation's high school population, we account for 28% of the finalists in the National Westinghouse Talent Search. Some of these outstanding young men and women undoubtedly have been helped in their careers by a start in the intellectually gifted program in the elementary schools. This program is for children who show great intellectual promise. While it is not new, not every elementary school has classes for gifted children. When there are not enough pupils in the local school to form this special class, a central school is provided. At the end of the 3rd grade, some children are ready to be placed in these special classes. Principals find it helpful to meet with parents to explain the program and the standards for the selection of children.
But let me tell you some of the other things that we do in school before we decide that it would be right to subject a child to the heavier program that he must carry in a group of very bright children.
Oh, well, I thought you just judged by tests.
Oh, no. There are many other things besides tests that we use. Of course, we do consider a child's general ability and the way he scores on standardized tests, particularly in reading, but that's not all. The child must be physically fit, and the child must be emotionally ready. That is, he must be able to adjust easily to new situations. Otherwise, we may place him in a group of this kind and find that he's extremely unhappy.
Well, is there any other special quality that you look for in these children?
Well, the teacher may notice that some children have a greater vocabulary. That is, a greater speaking vocabulary and a greater writing vocabulary. Some children have more originality. Some seem to have a better memory. Some show much more independence in thinking and more imagination.
A project has been developed between classes at Public School 117 and Public School 118, Queens. The classes alternate visits and exchange ideas. During each visit, the hostess teacher presents the lesson, while the visiting teacher assists. In this mathematics lesson, the hostess teacher is developing some basic concepts in geometry.
What is a circle? Billy Henlow.
A circle is a closed curve in which all endpoints on the circumference are equally distanced from the center points.
Very good. Now he used the word circumference. What is the circumference? Yes, Clark.
The edge of the circle, which measures the length of the circle.
Very nice. If we want to represent 1/4 of any circle, how shall we do it? Denise?
We make square corners with a straight edge.
Where would we make the square corners, Denise?
From the center point.
Good. In the center of our circle. Let's do it. You do it at your seat and I'll do it here. What then would these lines be called? Can you tell me, David?
Rays.
Why would they be called rays? David, since you answered.
Because a ray is a line with starting at one end point, going in one direction endlessly.
Which figures in this set have angles larger than right angles? Billy.
I see greater than a right angle in the hexagon and the octagon.
Children, I also want you to think about something, think about why right angles are important.
Will the chairman open and call the meetings to order?
Helping a child think for himself, to think critically, is one of the most important tools he can carry with him for the rest of his life. A child needs experience to gain this ability, and a study of a newspaper can furnish that much-needed experience. This 6th grade class had provision for the regular study of a newspaper in their breakfast club, where the children group themselves informally according to their interests. The children delight in exploring and discussing the day's events, the news both home and abroad. This also provides a great incentive for them to use television and radio programs intelligently. Let's take a glimpse at today's meeting of the Breakfast Club.
Boys and girls, this morning we're meeting again in our breakfast clubs. I'd like to make sure, do you know what we mean when we say mass media of communication? Leonard?
Well, mass media of communication is a means of communication which can get to millions of people, such as radio, television, newspapers, magazines, and so on.
Any other, Gary?
Well, also mass media arrives to the people at one time, and they find out at the same time of what's going on.
Well, this would only be true in certain mass media, wouldn't it? Which one would it be true of, for example?
Television and radio.
Perhaps we should remember that mass media very often uses propaganda as a technique. Now, just to make sure that we know what we are about to discuss, what do you think is the meaning of propaganda? Earl?
Propaganda is when one person or a group of people talk to another, well, give their ideas to another person, and try to make that person think and do what they would like.
What would you say, Ronnie?
Propaganda is the art, or rather the act, of educating one in another's beliefs, and then making that person make that person understand what you are trying to do, and then he'll believe in what you're doing.
Anyone else would like to add? Jean?
Well, I'd like to add that propaganda is not necessarily truth and facts. It could be what you want them to think.
I think it would be fun and exciting to consider this problem of propaganda.
While these boys continue a perceptive discussion of the techniques and effects of propaganda, let's listen in as this group moves on to a discussion of automation.
Well, now they've been talking about robot teachers. Like they would have a teacher that would talk either on TV or with a computer that would help the children learn. But since we are only...
There's one thing that worries me, Leonard, and that is the robot teacher. I would like you for a moment to say, do you think that a robot teacher could take the place of teachers you have?
Well, I don't think it could take place of many teachers, because a robot teacher couldn't teach a child to think for himself. It could only give them facts and make them learn those facts.
You think, Leonard, that's a high priority for a young American?
Yes.
I think a robot teacher would be awful for children, because right now when a child makes a mistake, the teacher helps him and works with him, trying to correct that mistake. And maybe if the child was, you might say, turned in the wrong direction, the teacher could actually work with him and teach him to think for himself and do the right things. But a robot teacher, in my opinion, would just contradict the child and say, this is fact, there's no opinion. And that would mean disaster for the whole school system.
Oh. Are you just concerned about the school system?
People wouldn't be people, they'd be robots going around on facts.
Well, I think, Leonard, you have set me at ease. I'm glad that I still have something to do to make both of you better people.
We've seen children given opportunities to develop oral skills. Similarly, in this 4th grade class, the teacher gives her English class the experience of thinking and speaking for themselves through a discussion of books they have read and the characters they have met.
That Joey played the joke with the onion on Rufus and Jane. Iris?
Lori? That may be, but I think that Rachel would be a good friend because she plans for the future. She wants to be an ornithologist like her father. And I think I might like to be an ornithologist. Michael?
I never knew you had that ambition.
Iris, maybe you would like to be an ornithologist, but I would also like to be Jerry because he likes rocks, and sometimes I start a rock collection when I'm in the country, and I just get all withdrawn with rocks, and I love them so much.
Do these characters in the book really come alive? Does Eleanor Estes make them come alive? Do they have faults? Do you have faults?
I think it was humorous when people asked Uncle Benny who was in the family, and he said Mama, Papa, and Bubba, which was his pink blanket.
Was that a fault?
Kenneth, you may think that's a fault, but I think that the fault of exasperating was worse because Mary, she was so exasperating because even though Peggy was her best friend, she was the most popular girl in school, she wouldn't tell Peggy that she was doing wrong by playing the joke on Wanda about the 100 dresses, and I think if Maddie wasn't a real best friend, then she would have, and that's really being nice to tell somebody what they're doing wrong so that they can improve it.
They say to have a friend is to be a friend. The Muppets and the Pies let us be their friends today. And now, however, we have to say goodbye to them. For there's so much more to find out about friendship. For your follow-up assignment, I think it would be a good idea to go to the library and find out what other authors have written about friendship. I think you'll probably find something of Bacon, which he wrote, I believe, a beautiful essay on friendship. One of you brought it in. Emerson's lovely essay on friendship, plays by Shakespeare, sonnets and poems by Shakespeare. And as John Mayfield said, would you bring that chart there, children? He said it beautifully in the last 2 lines of his great poem, Sea Fever, when he said, "And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep, and a sweet dream when the long trick's over." What do you ask of friendship? And what are you ready to give